Okay, so here we are, Mr. President. We have made it through the first year of our first term in the court game at easiest level. After a little bit of worries about China, they really kind of smacked us around pretty hard. There's no question about that. But our allies did come in, helped us a bit. I'm hoping I'm keeping the errors to a minimum, especially the actual, I only have one legacy point? I guess so. Especially if we're looking at, I'm up to a James Buchanan. Especially if we're looking at something along the lines of, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. I don't know. Strategy errors and stuff, I'm sure I'm making tons of. I know I've made a few actual rules errors. We're trying to catch them where we can. I do have some places where I'm not sure that I particularly agree with how the rules are written. Only one in real particular. But I also have some questions as to, hey, how is this going to fit? It's feeling a lot like the global situation is okay, but I'm not really convinced that the domestic model is working very well, and some of it may be Gene's unwillingness to tackle the actual sort of ideological issues that are core here. Kind of like in good old Road to the White House, an election game, where you're just part of a generic party, which might make sense at some point, but it really didn't from 1980 onward at all. And the game came out in the 80s. So similarly with this, I feel like it's not really addressing the kind of partisanship that we've seen since 2010. And it doesn't address the difference between the partisanship of 2010 and what it's also supposed to cover, that period before that, before the Tea Party movement and whatnot. Anyway, those may be minor gripes. It is providing a massive slew of being battered around by events, and it's not like you're not able to strategize about them. It's just that you don't know what's coming, and you've got to kind of prepare things. And obviously, it's worse. I can't really strategize about them because I don't know the rules and I don't know what to expect as possible of what's coming. But you never know for sure what's coming. Anyway, I'm awfully tired at this point. It is Friday and it's not dawn yet. And we're going to probably not play anymore until maybe Sunday or so. I managed to sleep until 2:30 p.m. and it's past 3 now or whatever, but I don't know what else to do other than play this or else just watch videos, which is what I was doing, of course. Ate some breakfast, but I had this weird reoccurring dream. I'm not going to go into it, I don't remember it, but that's part of why I was able to sleep so long, I think. Anyway, let's start this new one. We hit the begin turn, and there is a sequence for this. Okay, and we'll get going. And this time, I'll try not to have so many APs at the end of the turn. I was really trying to husband them and make sure that I had some. Some of them might be necessary for these 3 possible chit pulls here. Because you're walking into extra APs if you have a good economy, no matter what. And then I had the thought that I might need some at the end turn. Turns out I didn't. One thing I immediately forgot about, and this kind of makes up for the SOE side of things, like not being able to apply the AP advantage and whatnot. At the beginning of the game, you start with 5 more APs than you get every other year. Ooh. I don't know. Okay. My first decision here, and I improved my last cabinet member. Well, the chief of staff. Vice president, I don't get much off his improvement. I don't get much off her either, but I get even less off him. I could replace her. What is it, she? Yeah. I could replace her conceivably. She's not that great, but the problem is that is my only domestic bonus that I have. I can't use my Secretary of State to do domestic stuff. I can't like say, hey, Marco, here's another agency for you to take over. So I think I'm going to keep her in there. I don't know. The chances are very high that I'd get somebody better than her. So why did I improve her, if that was the case? You know what? I had to do a die roll to improve, but I forgot that I was able to fire. If I improve the vice president, I get rid of any difficulty. And then I can replace the chief of staff and get a better one. This is an interesting option. I could get this Rick Campbell here, who would eventually improve, but not really for me. Or I could get Beau Hamilton. Both of these will replace me with the one domestic, fine. This one adds an action and adds a point. So I'm giving up an action now to have eventually perhaps a better domestic rating. I'm going to go with that instead of taking the extra action right off the bat, because I would rather, see... People are our most important. I don't remember what it is. It is this HR type claim, a resource. People are our most important resource. Yeah, right. Yeah. We'd act that way if it was. Okay. So I did this. No, I did this. I can improve the cabinet. Rolling cabinet improvement. Okay. This doesn't look like it's an option. My great questions was, where did the National Intelligence Collection focus come from? Well, it's just something that happens here. No wonder I forgot about it. This is going to be based on Space and Strategic Recon Intel. I got that one. Space, I think I'm not ahead of. Oh, it is greater than equal. So I do get a second one. And the Mideast might not be my most important focus right now. I might have more important places to drop that intel. I'm not sure. It's going to be the most chaotic places. The New Year's surprise. Something tells me I tried to do this. I don't know. I don't think so. Draw a random cascading event from the 3 deck. Let's get this one. What are we plagued by? We're plagued by the election scandal again. I make a relations with Congress. By the way, my popularity is up here. My action points are in the crapper, though. Is my prestige 6 or higher? Yes. No, you also need the Teflon. No, wait. Subtract. No. Okay. No. 6 relations with Congress. I barely make it. Do not move the POTUS scandal counter and don't place a new one. If there isn't one, The good thing about this is it goes away now because it was in the 3 deck. Excellent. And then a random one from the 2 deck. That'll be the top one. This was party fundraising practices. Choose to either admit you bent some fundraising rules, -2 public approval, remove a friend in Congress and get rid of this, or crisis deepens. Always admit. Always admit. A little public approval, no big deal. I remove a friend though. Doesn't say to do it at random. I know I'd like to get rid of a radical. I'm actually assuming it's at random. So there goes my buddy. My buddy. But we got rid of the problem. That's good. We still have this. It's time for the State of the Union. This is the first time for this. At the start of every turn, you make your State of the Union address. Roll in the State of the Union chart to determine what benefits or penalties result. Choose the column that represents the sum of your current ratings. Public approval die modifier. That's got to be this little number here. That's a 7. That's pretty good. Relations with Congress. Gets me to a 13. Media relations gets me to a 20. The wife helped with that. And current presidential prestige gets me to a 26, which is up towards the top. Then roll a d10. I have no order bonus. But the state of the nation is pretty damn whack. Okay, a 3, that's not bad. +1 to public approval. +3 action points, well that's a big help. This is another reason why not getting the economic action points would be a real problem. Because you don't get your State of the Union. Of course, you do get 5 additional. Place a new bill in the 0 box in Congress and immediately perform 1 action of any type. Okay, so I got to figure out what bill I care about the most. What do I already have here? I have immigration, cyber, gun legislation. I think I care very heavily about the #1 public priority and my second, the infrastructure upgrades. Those are falling apart. They look like shit. Our airports, they're filthy. We gotta put a chin-up bar in the airport so that people can, exercise. I don't know. Okay. And then my action. My chosen action during the State of the Union was to threaten China over their involvement in South America. I didn't get anywhere with that. But, hey, that's a thing I'm only allowed to do once in each action phase, and I feel like it's really vital. I'm still in terror of China. It may not be my top priority anymore. Okay, so that's State of the Union. That gets us to, hey, we just had an SOE over here and we're doing it again. Feels really weird to me, as opposed to doing it on the first turn, which felt real, but whatever. Continuing on the let's beat up on China, I improved the regional alignment in the Middle East. That's up to a 7. I can intervene if China goes in there again. Okay, whatever. I can also work on Russia, who has 2 bases there. That may not be so hot. And then I'm working on improving Africa. We also got our bonuses off that, and our numbers look great. Nobody's loved this president more. I don't know. We're up in the massive public appeal, and also Congress likes us, the media likes us, everything's great. Behind every great man is a conniving woman. Okay. Something along those lines. I feel like pausing for a little bit. Oh no, I can't because this is part of the same box. Improve strategic capabilities. If U.S. state of the economy is 5 or higher, yes it is. Roll 2 different capabilities. We have the DARPA, which gets us an additional roll with extra bonuses, if I recall correctly. And the SecDef military rating is counted in where DARPA is not. DARPA has a broader range though, 1 to 7 instead of 1 to 5. DARPA automatically gives you good stuff. Can I put a capability? So how is this chosen? 2 different capabilities, but I think DARPA I can pair up on. So I'm going to do the DARPA one first. That's a base 1 to 7. I have no bonuses on this. We want that cybersecurity to happen. We did not, and we lose the DARPA counter. That's a very powerful thing, though. I don't know where these go. Pretty sure there's 2 of them. Oh, there they are. You're allowed 2. There's 3 counters for some reason. I'm going to do another on that same. That needs a 1 through 5, but I have the -2. So it works out kind of the same. All right, so we gain some cyber warfare. We're still not caught up. And what are we worried about the most? Both of these are really important. I'm going to go for strategic missile. I'm going to go for space warfare. That also will get me the bonus with that -2. So we made a couple of those. That puts us down here now in set POTUS cabinet focus, but then 1 action each, which is going to be kind of the painful thing. And I just got to make sure there isn't a not on first turn like there is here, just hiding, as opposed to every other one that I've seen, which is like in bold red. All right, we're going to pause for a bit here. I know it would make more sense to do one more thing, but I really don't feel up to it. Primary focus had been the economy, and I did great on it, no question. It is no longer my primary focus, that's for sure. The future is so bright, I got to take my attention off and do something else. It is kind of funny, you know, it feels like I've played a whole game getting through that first year. That's okay, I'm still into playing at this point, but I am worried about, you know, a 4 or 8 turn game of this, my desire to play again afterwards. I'm just not sure. It is a heavy undertaking. It is really kind of a monster of a solo game, but something in me really wants to explore this more than I'm able to explore most games. Anyway, let me set those focuses. I'm sorry, I got to do it. Foci. May not be happy about this because I've dropped the economy all the way to number 6. Number 1, addressing domestic crises. I have a couple of lasting issues, etc., and this can give me APs if I'm maxed out. Number 2, improve relations with Congress. I got a lot of bills out there. I want to get them passed. Actually, I might switch those two. Nah. because this is too minor an increase. Number 3, cabinet effectiveness. If we can boost this, that'd be good. Number 4, Homeland Security. I've got a terror group in there. I think I'm going to swap that down to 5 and make 4 public press. And I made the economy number 6. I'm probably not going to get a bonus off the economy. Right now I'm pushing the top. It's out of mind. Okay. And now I got my whole set of actions. One for POTUS, and then each of the cabinet members. But the key here is the cabinet members get all their bonus actions too. Less than I could have gotten. My initial key focus is on the Chinese issue. I want to make sure I got one of these. I increased the regional alignment in Africa and took a Chinese influence away. That's awesome. I kind of thought about going after the Russian one instead, but I don't even know if they can get a base there. I'm worried their only base might be allowed in Eastern Europe. It's also not related to their victory conditions. They can't win by getting a base there. They could end up with a lot of influence. It could cause lasting problems, but the Chinese base, I feel, is just more important still. At this point, I might go after the Russians next, but I can only do this thing once per segment. So that's the Secretary of State out of the way. Keep going. Staff drops my domestic crisis down. One of the reasons for making it a primary focus is that impacts that directly, so that's kind of cool. Not that I remembered that, but that's okay. Still have a military, and I got the president and vice president to play with here. Major flub by my Secretary of Defense. Horrible die rolls across the board. I did direct intelligence gathering. Wanted to get these. That 4 terror group scares me. And I'm able to do 2 in each intelligence gathering. I did 2 actions to do that. Planning on doing a major strike against the terrorist 4 to begin with, but now I'm really not sure. And bad luck again. I tried to track this terror group here, failed at it. I don't know what to do with the president. I'm really worried about that terror group. That could turn into a real problem. I think I've got to focus on it. Do I just want to launch drone strikes at it? If I can't get the special forces, at least I could drop it down with some drone strikes. That seems appealing. The answer is no, because I got to hit 2 different groups. Like, I get 2 shots, and it's 2 different groups. So instead, I went with the intelligence gathering again. The 2 different groups have to be in the same region. So that filled everything out. Now, I could conceivably take another action, like try to do a strike there, I believe. It would cost me 2 action points. I really don't like doing that. We saw how quickly I ran out of action points. I've got less this time. So now we come to the potential big ugly. Russia or China. And they're both going to act. I don't want either of them to. It is China this time. All right, I'll come back with what the hell happened. First thing I noticed, this is when you check if a country's won the game. So even if China meets their victory conditions, I would have some chance to beat them back. I still think I did the right thing in focusing very heavily on the influences that they've had, and I'm still worried about them. But maybe there's one at the end of the game, or at the end of the turn as well. I don't remember. But there is time, even if they achieve their conditions, it seems. I got away with a big pool of tensions markers with China without them raising their posture. Their economy is doing well enough that they don't want to do anything horrible. They don't even move deeper against the U.S. What is this? Did that get counted in? Doesn't look like it. That's a modifier, I guess, to other things. And now these are going to get swept away and only half of them are going to be there. That I survived a big ouch as far as I'm concerned. That was really kind of dangerous. Sanctions are helping. China's not able to improve any of their capabilities. Up their military against Japan. Had a terrible role on their economics. I don't know how this is. If their economy crashes too far, it's bad for me, I think. But taking it away from peak performance isn't bad. They got a 10. That ended up creating a worsening economy. Also, they're going to lose an action off of this. This was just a lucky roll, honestly. Look at a massive 7 actions. But remember, this is a list. They do one of each, basically, as they work their way through. I'll come back again with reports as things happen. The peers acting is a major part of this. That box is really hefty, and you have almost no control over it. And China hits our banks hard. This drops it a full point down and creates a domestic crisis. Not something I wanted to see. Ouchies. This is using cyber attacks. The bloody Belt and Road, just nasty. It ends up adding, I know I got into Eastern Europe there, I think also the Middle East with additional influence markers. Those are marked on here, but also just tension everywhere. China gets tension, everywhere else does. Nasty, nasty, nasty. And now we go for additional influence. Influence because of regional alignment ended up failing, so I didn't get an additional one there. I have to say, it is definitely getting a lot easier. The struggles for the first time, but also trying to show the struggles made it more painful too. But I'm not having those struggles to the same degree at all. Failed to mediate India-Pakistan situations, which was their goal here, turned out. Not a good thing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like an India-Pakistan war, I don't want wars, but if this is sucking China's efforts in, that's great. Failed to put any influence in South America. This is totally different from last time. Last time China was just, so powerful across the board. I got a couple of actions left, and we're getting close to the end of the sequence, and I really don't feel like they've bloated the way, like they became a serious threat last turn. Yeah, they're still up there, but this turn, so far, they're not growing. Okay, but they do veto the UN sanctions here, which kind of blows. I didn't get to use them. We got one more oil partnership. They invest in production and infrastructure abroad. This is an automatic. Let's just do this in real time. 3, place China influence in South America. Make a regional alignment check. Okay. Not cool. We thought we skipped that. Regional alignment, we're at 6. Not cool. Central or South America is dropping down further. But that was the last of China's actions. Now, did we do anything else? No, everything was actions there. There's a possibility for them just to drop some influence markers. I think it's pretty unlikely they'll get through without spending their 10 actions. They have quite a large list of things. But that's like a fail-safe. Maybe if you fuck up and like don't get the rules right, you can end up at it. That's going to put me at the any 3 actions. I felt like I went through a lot there. Plus, I'm almost out of battery. Now, I may still come back up, or this may be the end of the night. It's possible tomorrow as well is the 4th. Well, it definitely is the 4th. Is it? think it's on Saturday. And I may well be going out then, which might change the nature of things. I may not be playing on Sunday, for example. Just thinking something. These decks, the year 2, 3, and 4, they're a simple numerical order. I could have them placed there with no problem. You know what I can't have? What these words are. Now, I can put little post-its on top of them or whatever, but that is actually really disturbing that there's no place to put them. They could have put little card things up here or something to hold them with a little tiny bit of shifting, just like they do here. If I've got to have that space on top of the board, unless you do something stupid like I'm doing with my table, you probably have room all the way across the board to put those kind of things. Oh, got a nice little butterfly there. It's past 5 and I'm usually getting ready at this point. I already have eaten and taken care of bathing and whatnot, and I'm up here to do a little bit more, not much, mainly because a show that I usually watch on Fridays was off for the next month or so, so it's out of Australia, and I don't know, I guess they have their vacation schedules too. I wouldn't want to see it with, you know, like substitute hosts or whatever, so that's just peachy. So I got 3 actions to do. I got to figure out what I'm most concerned with here. These are any, which sometimes I ought to consider these presidential master actions that I can't do as much. But I'm also really worried about the international situation, and I feel like I'm cranking a lot of good public opinion. To get my legacy in place, I need to pass some laws, though. But I feel like I'm in a good condition for that. I'm a little worried about the economy, to be honest, because it shifted all the way down. I don't like that. Actions were easy. I did a UN speech to create goodwill, getting myself one of those. I got myself a boost on the infrastructure bill, pushing it forward. Do I want to get rid of a fucking Chinese influence is the problem. There's 2 over here, and I can try to get rid of one. Yeah, I got to clean them up. Option I would have considered is making a presidential trip. I kind of liked the effects of those, and they can drop the crisis level, I think, and that's nice. It's chit time! This is probably where I stop, because I don't think I want to do the ally rogue states. We get a card. What is it? Supporters on the superstars on the NSC staff. This is awesome. During both focused national intelligence segments, I can use this to perform an intel gathering or SOF raid with a bonus. And once per game, I can ignore a terrorism event card. That second part is going to be hard for me to remember. But that's okay. Unless it's like a game-threatening one, I may not want to play it. Our next one. Ooh, 2+ cascading event. That's going to be this one. It's the only one there. Hey, I remember things. I don't have to look them up. These are right here, though. Nicely printed. This is the North Korean infiltrators attacking the ROK infrastructure. I don't remember reading that out loud, but I know what it did. If the DPRK ROK conflict status is 1 or 2. Nope. If it's 3 or higher, move it to 5 and start a war with North Korean surprise. Ooh. Ruh-roh. Well, that all happened real fast. What's more is this actually moves forward and is set up again. But I don't know what happens with a war. We're in diplomatic status war. Among other things, we're going to have to put a war I guess, over here somewhere. And we're going to have to set that all up. Is there anything else I need? I need stuff on the war track. I need to determine what kind of war it is. It's going to be a ground war. I'm going to have to go through that whole setup. Ruh-roh. Now, again, this may be good because it may be enough to, like, keep North Korea from becoming problematic and getting its missiles and everything. We're back to rulebook stuff, which we thought we had kind of gotten out of. Countries go to war according to contract. Wars are different from civil wars. You cannot go to war with a terror group. You could go to war with a rogue state. Yuck. Oh, this is a level 4 terror, not rogue state. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about my problems there. Damn it. Took my eye off a ball. You may, as a result of conflict, wars that can create auto losses. This is not. Okay, set it up. WM5 has it in more detail. Probably should go there then. Instead of this. Ruh-roh. Conflict type on the war status box. Now I know what type it is. Place conflict status on the stalemate. Conflict status. Oh, that was conflict type. I don't see conflict status. Oh, interesting. That's why we have additionals of these. So this goes into the stalemate box, right? The war trigger did not specify who was the attacker. I'm assuming it did. I don't recall it. It says North Korean surprise. They've got to be the attacker. Place a country at war counter showing the name of each side and its appropriate attacker defender. I got to hunt those out. They're placed in the attacker and defender boxes. Non-U.S. countries add a specific strength value to the war. Find the names of the countries on the table below and place their numerical counters in either or both. Okay. So DPRK has 6, and it would be higher otherwise. The ROK also has 6. So those go here and here. Wow, this looks like the enemy because it's red. Also take into account that adversaries and peers get a +1 and +3 if you're playing on hard. This is triggered as governed by a conflict track. Set it to war if it hasn't already, and add numerical counters equal to the relative strength to the side favored. They are equal. Place a war counter, did that. Make a war progress roll, with the exception that you ignore a single asterisk. Okay, so we get the first attack, and this is the surprise turn. If Russia, China, no. U.S. wars, no. We're back to dots. +1 regional crisis in a war's region. If there's a U.S. war, I'll also put U.S. military footprint. Total up the strength of each side by adding all numerical counters.
And the U.S. strength, if the U.S. is involved, it's not. Express the attacker versus defenders as an odds ratio. This is going to be 1-to-1. Under the relevant conflict type on the war table, conflict table, WCT1. That's going to be somewhere in here. Let's see where we find it. Looked like it was in the back. I don't know what the difference. This is DRMs. Okay. So it's going to be in the back. Determine any DRMs to the war progress for surprise, types of units involved, etc. Okay. Skipping. Well, wait a minute. There may be ors. If U.S. or ally or U.S. supported, and the total of Russia's, China's combined influence is 1 or 2. It is not. It's 3. If Russia, China, Iran, North Korea are involved in a war versus the U.S. and a U.S. ally, if U.S. or U.S. supported and total of Russia, China's combined influence is 3 or more. That is true. So I've got a 2-point penalty. I think this is going to be a -2 because Korea North is the attacker. They're not involved in the war. U.S. war, ground forces, U.S. war. I don't see surprise in here. Okay. I do not see surprise. I'm not happy. Oh, surprise for attacker. Okay, so there's another -1. So we're at -3 on the table. And now we roll on the 1-to-1, looking up combined ground. There was a -3. You get a 6, which isn't too terrible. It does not move. Both take a loss of a point. Can we intervene? I mean, the U.S. has troops stationed in Korea. Yeah, I'm really confused. I feel like our army would be in it right away. Okay, so we did that. Apply losses. If the U.S. is not on the side incurring losses, reduce the strength of that side by the amount. If the U.S. is in the side, the game assumes the U.S. replaces the losses at cost. There's no move. Was there anything else, an asterisk or anything that I missed? I doubt it. It's a pretty unexciting look. If the following the move, if conflict status is either, no, it didn't move. Otherwise, keep following these steps. If one side has 0 strength at this point, they lose the war. There's no asterisk. If you made it all the way here, it means the war is not over yet. Another war progress roll will be made in the next war progress. The war can end through moving it to one side, through defeating all the forces, an asterisk. Some events, I guess. Diplomatic master action allows me to end the war. The use of a WMD by a rogue state against Russia. Ooh. Well, that's not going to happen. Okay. So we definitely want our side to win, but right now, that's all the war does. And that's okay. We get another plus. I mean, it's not what we wanted, but And that's 2 more cards. First one, bureaucratic incompetence. What, didn't we discard this already? Is there more than one? Hold on, let me make sure that there's another one of these in there. Uh-oh, I'm out of battery. Let me switch batteries too, but there is indeed another one in there. I'll be back in a moment. This is the same as the last one. Place attentions on the POTUS focus. This will hit number 5 here, which is Homeland Security. Never something I want knocked out. And then it said roll a d10. I got a 3. There were no mods. Spat with congressional leaders, -1 relation with Congress. Okay, that's not too terrible. And this one goes away. This is kind of cool because I was a little unhappy about the idea of there only being one bureaucratic incompetence. We're going to stop for there. I don't feel like dealing with an allied rogue nation group. That could be huge. That's a whole series of things. So I'll put this here. I'll put this here. And we're done. Maybe not entirely. I'm thinking again about the auto victory, which, you know, I wasn't really close to after 1 year, and it can't happen in the first year. But if after 2 years, it feels even more weird to me. Like, the fact that it's not available unless you're playing at the easiest level just feels goofy. Like, it serves no actual purpose. The only argument I can think in favor of it is, okay, look, you're doing so well, hotshot. It's time for you to stop and play the game on normal difficulty or something like that. As opposed to, you know, it seems like if you were playing it on a harder difficulty and got that, and if there was some sort of excuse. But there's no mention of what it might represent or whatever. And it just, what really worries me about it is that it could favor, at the easy level, play that does not work at higher levels, which is, let's try to ignore problems and push everything aside and make it as good as possible, you know, in terms of the things that matter for that little victory chart, and just try to grab a win that way. Putting all the issues, you know, on the back burner that don't count for that, but might hurt me in the long run. That feels like a horrible lesson to be teaching on the first play, right? It's like, okay, if something got you to that auto win on the first play, and it's basically like the 1830, run things as hard as you can and count on somebody else collapsing type of theory, well, that's not going to work in any other situation. 1830 tournament play concept. It's not going to work if you're playing it, and now if you're so convinced, oh, I got an automatic victory. Cool, I'll do the same thing and I should be able to win, you know, on the normal level. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe what you did to get you that automatic victory is absolutely the wrong things to do. And you really should be playing it out to see what the effects of that pushing other issues off to the side that are possible long-term problems might be. Anyway, the only argument I can see for it is this kind of, okay, it's not going to be fun for you to play it when you're winning this much. But I disagree. The game kind of steamrolls. You know, it has a chance of really turning against you. As we saw in the first turn, the China move really whacked me pretty hard. And now I'm fighting against it, and it's definitely a threat still. But there are other things happening that are problematic, etc. And then, so it's completely possible that you could go from that auto win situation to a really horrible presidency still. And then it's also, you know, completely reasonable which is to say that it's not going to be an uninteresting game if you keep going from a position of strength. It's going to make it easier on you later on, sure, maybe. It depends on how you got there. But if it's teaching you the wrong lessons as to what wins you the game, that's a really, really problematic thing to put only on the easiest level. If it was on other levels, I'd be like, okay, If there was some argument for, like, if a president makes it through the first couple of years or longer and gets to this kind of level of goodness, nothing bad can happen, only good, right? That made too much grammatical sense. That couldn't have been what he said. Anyway, back to the argument, back to me going out and not being up here trying to play or discuss. Happy 4th, happy 250th, whatever. I'm trying to convince myself to make my way to the neighboring town. It was about the same distance of a walk, but to catch, I don't know, be close to a celebration. I don't really want to pay the $10. This is so weird to me. Like, these things, I'm used to being free. The fireworks display and whatnot. I think my town's stopped doing fireworks entirely. I'm not positive about that. I think I've seen some, but it was a much lesser, always a lesser experience than I expected for a city kind of this size. When, I don't know, feels like the same kind of celebrations happen, in every town on the East Coast, like, not cities. Anyway, while I do that, though, I'm gonna try to do this. I don't know. Can I cope with this? Yeah, we're gonna try to do our allies and rogues, and we get A. A fairly easy one, no rogues in it. It's got 4 states. The Iran one's hard, and I got to remember the unstable states. I'm often unable. I've forgotten that a few times, I think. Certainly once somebody called me on it. The reason I'm in reasonably good shape today is I got a ride home. I actually drank pretty hard, but that doesn't seem to be what really wipes me out. It's that walk home after walking there and dancing for many hours. So that was kind of cool. I haven't been getting rides home recently, for whatever reason. Anyway, let me get moving, and I'll report on what happens. First is the world economic trend. That went badly for everyone. But the Eurozone got kind of a bonus out of it, so they're actually doing better. Like, they didn't get the decline. I'm worried about mine now. That's what happens when, well, we haven't gotten there yet. So, okay, and now to the specific powers. The EU doesn't actually do anything. It just is the economy there. So to NATO. This annoys me. Somewhere or another, NATO can go in the Eurozone or East Europe. I did 2 intelligence actions against the Eurozone. I don't know if that's wise, but like, maybe I'd be better off hunting, doing a raid. I think I'm better off. Oh no, that's got to be target fixed. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'd be better off doing this and hit the Eastern Europe and then hit a raid on that, because raids are hard for me to do. The advantage, though, is I get 2 intelligence actions, which I wouldn't normally get. But this is not a focus, but I do have special ops and intel, so it's okay. It was a good idea. I got the best roll I could and ended up completely eliminating that, reducing regional crisis level. And now we've got a unilateral action. Let's see. I shouldn't have closed that. It might be that table. -1. Ooh. With a conflict status of 1. Of 1 or 0? Of 1. So there's always some in there. So we're straight up even. Détente -1 status on Russian-NATO conflict track. Yeah, well, it's not going to go. It's not going to get any worse. How? This is pro-Russia. We ought to fix that. And that'll bring us to Korea. Avoid the big baddie here. There was a lot of tension there. I'm worried about Japan, actually. I do have an extra action, so I get actually 3 joint actions. I want to take that terror group out. That's definitely one. Other stuff is a little bit more iffy. There aren't any other... oh, no, there is another terror group there. Stabilizing the region might be a good idea, because that's limited. Anyway, good at doing terror groups over here. The Chinese base, I think, counts as 3 or more influence. That's a problem. And I don't have my special ops and intel. I don't have the focus. So I'm not going to be on the best table here, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And I don't get a bad roll. Decrease terror group by 1, move it to gathering on intel. That sounds good. And then what I want to do is over in this war area, since I have 2, I am going to reinforce. I want to stabilize 2. I'm going to try to reinforce the military there. And that gets me -2 for my sec def. Yeah. Okay, so we get another point here on the Republic of Korea. I mean, fighting the war is useful, but I also want to do the regional crisis, I think. No, this is stability. How do I deal with the regional crisis? That's this. I can do that with anyone. Yeah, I'm gonna actually try to reinforce yet again. I want this war to be a victory. Oh, that's actually good enough. Only a 10 would fail me, because I have such a good secretary. Okay, and that'll help the Koreans in their effort. That way I don't have to maybe get into the war directly. And now it's unilateral action. No tensions on the ROK. No, that's not it. Per tension, that's +4. None in North Korea, though. I'm at war. Wait, if I'm at war, I don't do if losing, make a UN broker peace talks action. Otherwise, add 1 to the ROK strength. Oh, you know, instead, since I didn't realize that was going to happen, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, since my mind is on this region and it has such a high crisis level, I am going to try to reduce it. It doesn't have to be this region, and we'll drop that by 1. Okay, and that's the end of the ROK. Somewhere we should get Iran. Flip tensions. Oh, we didn't do this. Remove the tension and replace them with half, and also the +1 AP goes away. So I am going to get, what, just one? Let's round it down on this one. I don't know. You see what Iran's up to. +1 tension, -1 from sanctions. They have some modifiers here on the Iran at peace table. There is a tension marker, but the net is 0. Israel's not at war. Middle East regional alignment is high, so that's a +1. And that puts me more towards the let's build nukes. But we don't get that. Deepen ties with Russia, put a Russian influence, you know, okay. Oh, uh-oh. Russia might end up with a base in the Middle East. That wouldn't be good. Now what happens? Where am I? Fuck. Oh, this is where I want to be. Move all tensions in Iran and replace with half rounded up, and also replace all sanctions, and that's it. Now for unstable states, it's Central and South America. Let's look at Central first. Stability is a 5, which doesn't give me a penalty. And there is an unstable state there. Hey, that's good. Now, I don't think anything comes of that. There should be a reminder if anything does, like if that increases stability or reduces crisis or anything like that. That's one of my constant worries, because I think I've found some places, for example, in the scandal track, where sometimes something is not mentioned that is a collateral effect. Okay, and down here, we're actually at a stability of 6. So that's a -1. But that doesn't help me. And now, we're on the POTUS cabinet focus. This is where we roll a die for each thing that doesn't have a tension marker, which is 4 and up. Unfortunately, my economy and Homeland Security, both things that I kind of need right now. Homeland Security for the terror groups, the economy, because it's kind of it's fallen back. It's no longer chugging along the way it was. This just never seems to work for me. I just failed across the board, except for I improved relations with Congress, which is good, but it's like, I don't know, most of these checks are 50-50, and I'm getting 1 out of 4 in this case. I think it was 1 out of 5 the last time. It's just not nice. And anytime a game, this is all kind of information. Yeah, again, not exactly where I need it. Those reminders are needed, and I don't know where they should be, but this is not the place, except that you're constantly seeing it, and maybe it'll sink in eventually. And that's going to push me down to here, and I don't feel like I'm whirring on all cylinders, really. You can see I'm talking a little slower and everything. It's just, I don't know, something hits me when the day after is tough. Is basically the thing. But I mean, the same is true if I go for a long walk or something. I'm a little stunned, or if I take a nap. I made it out to where I can see right now, and there's some fireworks going off. You know, so it's not just that they charge.
that pissed me off. There was quite a bit. But when I got there, and I wasn't intending to buy a ticket or whatever anyway, but you know, I could have been convinced if the music was really good or something. It wasn't to my taste, and there are a number of factors I don't like. If you charge, you're putting up fences and stuff like that. That means I probably couldn't bring my drink in, which, you know, was perfectly fine. It was just iced tea or whatever. And I probably couldn't smoke there. In fact, I know I couldn't smoke there because it's part of a park, and parks here you can't smoke in, apparently. And, but beyond that, there's also the factor of the price, which was if you went to a local hardware store, you could have bought tickets in advance for $5. If you bought them online, they were $8, and I probably would have found out that they were sold out at that point. And admission at the door was $10, which that whole, like, that change in how things work, the idea that, like, you buy tickets in advance and everything, just pisses me off to no end. I'm just not cool with that at all. I know a lot of shows and stuff do that too. It looked pretty damn miserable there, in a lot of ways. Too many people, because they had to actually, you know, stop selling tickets. But also, just the walk and everything wore me out. So I'm fatigued and all that. Anyway, being able to come up here and tell you that, I ended up, I was going to go walk to where there's a view, same kind of distance, but of a couple of different fireworks shows down, you know, basically a couple blocks down from my house, more or less. And I just couldn't do it. I knew I would have just turned around as soon as I got there, unless nobody was there, or almost nobody, and still would have only stayed like 5-10 minutes at most. So I sat out on my porch and watched the first few minutes of this, and then came in. Anyway, it gives me an excuse to come up here and try to do, what is this next thing? -1 box media relations. That always degrades. I get 2 domestic actions, and then we get to play with the legislative segment, and for the first time we might actually be able to pass bills, because last time we were only able to propose them. That feels wrong. Again, if you're looking at this as quarters of a year, the first 100 days is when legislation has historically been passed, although, again, they've been having a harder time doing that. Like, it gets proposed and everything early, which the game handles perfectly fine. But when I think about things like Obamacare or whatever, the big tax bill, I think got passed pretty quickly, actually. But some of the big legislation, it takes a while to get passed. It's not like, boom, it's just there. Anyway, let me figure out those domestic actions. I probably want to try to bonus my bills, but I got to worry about other things. In particular, is anything killing me? This is really dangerous, but it's only domestic actions that I have right now. So, yeah. The bills I want to pass, I feel, are in pretty good locations. I don't know. But we're looking at, you know, this is a -1, this is a -2. That one, obviously, I can't get any better. But I think I've got a fair chance of passing them. I don't know what the specifics are. So, I'm going to try to corral the cabinet, which I'm good at doing. What is the effect of this? It's to improve cabinet effectiveness. I would like to start doing that now. This is on improving. I really hate that this counter looks exactly like the one that it's on top of, unlike all the other improving ones. Oh, I gotta go to a table. Okay. First attempt didn't work, and it is the thing I most want to do, so I'll do it again, I guess.
I could deal with these domestic crises. I don't know. I feel like the cabinet is going to help me with that. Shit! Again, on the no change. I'm at -2 on this. I didn't want to spend on it. So that was a wasted couple of actions there. And now we go to the legislative segment. And because we haven't passed anything, I'm going to work my way through it again. Determine support or opposition of pending bills. Total the sum of legislation of all your friends. I only have 3 now. Then subtract the total rating of your congressional opponents. But 3 is as good as I can get. You may move the number of bills, either yours or opponents, 1 box in either direction on the pending. Okay, so I'm allowed to move 3 bills. Well, glad I didn't try to improve my passage. Those 2 are going. How do I feel about the gun legislation? You know, I'm perfectly fine improving that as well. Even if it doesn't particularly help me, I'm not. No, screw them. Okay. Attempt to pass pending bills. Oh, wait. If the account is negative, yeah. Attempt to pass pending bills. If none, skip this. The number in the current box in the bipartisan cooperation is the number of bills you must now attempt to pass. I get 2. I get to choose them because I still control both houses. Okay. I roll a d6 and I apply the DRM from the pending box on the bill. I need a 1 through 3. Okay. Cybersecurity is my primary one. I have just passed that. I don't know what happens. I feel like something should be moved on the cybersecurity thing. But we'll put that there. The other one, immigration or infrastructure. Infrastructure is more important to me. We'll go with that. Oh, wait, no. Immigration is my campaign promise. We'll go with that. That's just important. And that's a success as well. Okay. Determine quality. For any bill that's passed, roll for the effects of past legislation, table D5 in the domestic charts. Unless the bill ends up being vetoed, place it in the past legislation box. Adjust the legislation priority and implement any effects of the bill. It ends up being vetoed, return the bill. It feels like vetoing the bill should be my choice, not something that just happens. Maybe not entirely my choice, because it could be overridden if it is really important. I am not on the furthest box in either case. I'll be rolling a d6 here. Are there other modifiers? I don't see more modifiers over there. Yeah, see this? But I could improve bipartisan cooperation, which I like, actually. If you roll an adjusted 6 or more, the bill is dysfunctional. These will not be. If I roll an adjusted 1 or less. So what was no, actually, I could roll a 6. Ooh. Okay, so let's take a look at the first one that I did, which was cybersecurity. I get a landmark bill. This is a problem because I can't pass this ever again. I get +1 cyber strategic capability. Okay, that's cool. I would have liked this ability to do this again. Now, it goes over here. +3 public approval. Oh no! What happens if public approval goes over the limit? I'm gonna go look, see if there's any impact for that. Like some tracks, I'm just I'm just not gonna get the additional, any kind of benefit from this. Other than, I've got huge public approval. I'm loved. Now, the second one is the infrastructure upgrades, and again, no modifiers on this, so it could go either way. Okay, oh, I get 2 more public approval. Oh no, this was landmark, okay. Oh, the only way I get an improvement is off of landmark. Well, fuck that then. All right, so this is just a good immigration reform. Place a trending pro-US counter in Central America. Okay. Great. Roll another die. Let's see. Oh, this could go either way. I get 2 additional public approval. Okay. So apparently I did the right thing, which is probably somehow limiting immigration. Okay, Central America, sure. So that's my 2 bills. Now, I passed a landmark bill, so I get a new buddy. And party relations are, I am allowed a 3rd friend. I'm capable with decent media. Hey, that can only be good. How the sausage is made. Roll on the congressional maneuvering and drama. We had this before, but might as well. Okay, there's got to be modifiers if it goes up there. No. No. Relations with Congress are at 7. So that's a +1. No, -1. Public approval is happy, -2. Friends outnumber opponents, -3. -3. All right, not great. Congressional agenda. Add a new bill matching the highest public priority that isn't already in pending areas to the 0. As opponents' legislation. If this is one of your 3 priorities, you get 2 APs. If all public priority are already in the pending, move 1 opponent's bill left. Okay. Right. So, number 1 is immigration. It's infrastructure. Wait a minute. I did immigration here, not infrastructure. I can't read. Okay. Because I want to make sure that I get my my priority complete, my campaign promise completed. The next one is healthcare reform. I don't have that, so we'll find that one. I definitely feel like I'm the Republicans trying to shoot down gun legislation, getting immigration reform that the public is actually happy about. Although I don't know about Central America being happy, but okay. Introduce new bills. So I can introduce 2 bills because I control Congress. And I definitely would have put the health care up there. Infrastructure. Oh, healthcare is something I want passed, so I'll probably try to do it. I don't have much else I want passed, so we'll go for public priorities here. which is tax reform and lingering domestic issues. And where do they show up? They show up in the -1. Now my media goes those 3 boxes on public approval. I can't get higher, but I do get a media influence because I went up 3. So that's awesome. There are no scandals currently. Examine your friends and opponents if there are more moderates than radicals. There are. Move cooperation up a box. Perform one immediate action of any type for each of your bills that were passed and signed this activation segment. Any type. Sweet. Kind of annoying because, I don't know, we're getting close to the finale or whatever, and I was kind of hoping to get out there for some of that. I may just do that as a break and leave myself here with 2 if I can remember. I'm also fatigued from, this was there were a number of things that happened on this action phase. So I'm a little tired from that part. It's a bigger show than I'm used to. It wasn't just the 250, but also it was like the 20th anniversary of them doing this party in the park things. It was a bigger deal. All right. I have 2 actions. Let me get this out of the way, then I go back down. I'm really pooped right now. I'm not happy about this rogue state here. And my feeling is knock it out before it spawns into something worse or gets to level 4 and I lose. So we're going to try to initiate hostilities as our first action. And we're not going to just do a cyber attack. We're going to do a regular combined air-ground war against them. We're maybe not as set up as we should be. We have some special ops, we have these, and we have a carrier group in the area. I think it should be enough. Should I move troops into place? Put a bigger footprint in there? I think so. So I am going to grab, I'm allowed to have a heavy army in the Eurozone, and that's not a terrible thing. What do I have in the US itself? See, I could get this carrier out of there. That would be useful, and the Marines for that factor. Which I think would be a wise idea. Although, I don't know, I'm facing a Korean war again, so maybe that's not such a great idea. Why don't we move another carrier group and some additional Marines here. We're allowed to move 2. And then we'll try to initiate hostilities. We have an automatic -1, and our Secretary of War gives us a -2. So we have a -3, which is enough to get us surprise, and we set up a conflict here. As far as I can tell, I don't actually put a strength marker on the war for the US. I have to count it each time, which is okay. The rogue state from the chart here had a strength of 6, because it's a level 3 rogue state. I do have surprise. US combat units, yeah, okay. So what do I have here? It looks like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have a 2-to-1. And we have to look at there's nothing on the back. The combat chart. Let's get this here. The -1 gets me. I'm sorry. Yeah, the -1 comes from the surprise. I'm at 2-to-1, looking at combined air ground war. Doesn't sound very good, but do I roll a d10? I hope so, because I got a good roll. It doesn't give me a die here. Yeah. Okay. So I got a total of a 1 on the 2-to-1, which shifts it 1 to the left and 2 defender losses. So we're towards winning there. We're at 4. That's going to give us like a 3-to-1 next time. Anything special? I don't see anything. We don't have the guerrilla war situation there. Okay. At the end of the turn, we're going to have some penalties here. So we're going to want to prosecute this war and try to get it out of the way. But I'm okay with what we got there. Something about no stupid wars. And now, that will drop us to here. Do I want to draw a chit? Sure. I'm going to probably regret this. It'll probably be something complicated. 2 crisis cards. The plus doesn't do anything here. First one. Southern Europe debt default looms for Eurozone. This looks like... No. If Eurozone state of the economy plus stability is 11 or higher. I do believe it is. It looks like it's about a 13. I get to ignore this card. And that's an R. It goes back in the recycle. I draw the second one. Stagnation in Eurozone economies creates higher unemployment, widespread protests. Put a worsening economy on the Eurozone. I'm not thrilled about that, of course. +1 regional crisis. And then this is going to go into the 2 deck. That's kind of a long-term issue that we're going to have to deal with. Okay. I think we've done enough. We're going to be going into the focused national intelligence. I don't want to do that right now. That'll be here. And I feel like I need to eat something else again. I don't know. I don't know if I just want a flavor in my mouth or something. I've eaten too much. I always eat too much. We are on Sunday. I caught the sunrise and then went out to the park because there was partying going on behind me. I don't know, till at least like 1:30 or so, maybe later. I was too tired to even stick my nose out there. Lots of explosions and fireworks, which I'm not really thrilled with because we're in the middle of, summertime in a pine forest.
doesn't seem wise to me to be blowing shit up there. I went back there to check to see if there was anything interesting lying around. And well, there was. It wasn't food or anything like that. There was a guy sleeping on the hood of a car. It turns out there was another guy inside the car, I guess, sleeping inside. It was just weird. Anyway. All right, we are on, what is it here? The Focus National Intelligence. And the first thing I noticed was the exceptional superstars of the NSC staff, which I happen to have. I want to look this over to see if it has something else. Doing this once per game, I can ignore revealed terrorism. Okay, so that's a thing to remember. I don't know what ignore means. Like, does the card get discarded? Does it get put in the reshuffle? What? I just don't know. All right, so that's going to give me an extra intel gathering or SOF raid with a -1, and then I get to play on here for the 2 regions where I have a marker. So our freebie, we managed to do a special operations, and we basically got Bin Laden, as it were. The biggest result, that gave me a legacy point. I get to announce it in the White House or whatever. And now, well, let's take a look here. Still is -1, -2 space warfare. Okay, so first the Mideast, -2, 3. Move a level 3, 2, or 1 terror group in the region that is not in one of the intel box to the locating box. Okay. If there are any remaining terror groups that are not in the gathering, oh wait, that is not in one. Locating's up here. If there are any remaining that is not in the gathering intel or further, move a 3, 2, or 1. See, if I was only with 1 in the gathering, I would not get any intel out of that. Again, this kind of funky stuff. There is not a U.S. or ally war. There is a civil war. I can share intel with the UN in order to get them to intervene. Make a broker peace deal. I think this counts. The civil war isn't a ceasefire, but I think I'm able to do this. And that'll be WM4. If I look there, if it doesn't, yeah, it includes ceasefires. So, what did I just get? Make an immediate broker peace in the UN for the chosen with an additional -2, -1, -3. -4, -5, because there's UN peacekeepers. Is there a limit to this one? I don't see one. Regional stability is under 5, so that gets down to -4. And we roll. Permanent peace, remove the Civil War ceasefire and any UN peacekeepers. Decrease regional crisis by 1. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Oh, I have a couple of choices. I could use the intel to add strength
to the U.S. or ally side in the war. I don't know what that means, to be honest. Because the U.S. strength isn't tracked. I can put a +2 in there, I guess, and just try to remember that's there. Or there is no civil war, so yeah, I guess I just put an extra 2 points in there that I try to remember. But that's going to be kind of weird. And that is that. I'm still a little stunned. I don't know. Not feeling in the flow the way I was before. One of the things being I'm talking too much and showing too much of the game that I don't want to do. So I'm going to break again. Okay, almost done with the first quarter. I've got this 4 diplomatic or military actions to do. I got up, well, I went back to sleep because I hadn't gotten much sleep. But I ended up sleeping quite a bit. That's okay. I'm actually feeling, I don't know, relatively content for me. Although there are worries that I'm putting off to feel that way. But it feels good because when I went to sleep, my legs and everything still hurt. But now they feel better. It's come to the point where feeling physically okay is like enough to bring a certain level of joy to my existence. Where I'm willing to just kind of write off everything else and just say, oh, that's cool. Open up with a cyber attack on North Korea. We gotta look at all the modifiers here. That gets me a -1. I don't get the bonuses for the joint attack and whatnot. But I wanna do this because I need to weaken them a little bit. The U.S. war, I've got like 3-to-1 odds or more at this point. I'm more worried about how close this is. I'm getting great rolls on the war table. Major success. If North Korea's war, immediately remove 2 strength from their side. Sounds good. And that will make that war significantly in my favor. Of course, it might end up as a guerrilla war. I don't know what it could happen. Like, I feel like I can't destroy North Korea. But now we make a check at -2 on what happens in the world. And here I get a pretty good result. It's a flawless operation, leaves no fingerprints. Okay, that's cool. Checked out a Russian influence in the Middle East. Just so that, I don't know if they can build a base there, but I don't want to chance it. And they go next. Let's make sure they can't. Some additional sanctions on China. And I don't know what else to do. This is nasty. I could do a visit there. That actually works nicely. I made a trip to South America. Now, I don't like this, all right? I rolled a 10, but with the -1, that's not going to hurt me. Nothing can hurt me. I'm not willing to accept that, so I'm going to actually drop the alignment down 1. I think there should be a risk there, even though I'm playing on the easiest level. I just don't think nothing bad could happen from this. But I did succeed in getting the goodwill and the public approval. Not that great, but it got me my 3rd goodwill. That's the end of my actions. And that pulls me into activation phase 2. And we get a series of random events. A 2+. Let's see. Congress clashes over renewable energy policy. As I have difficulty reading. Televised debates spotlight congressional rising stars and attack your energy policies. Draw and add a new political opponent to Congress. Move. I get a -1 public approval. We'll do that right off. The enemy we will add, but move energy independence public priority to the number 1 box. That's going to set everything down one. Meant by the way, I found this. Lingering domestic issues, whatever, has fallen off the chart completely. This causes a media slant, and I can't see. That's a D, so this will go away after the media slant. I don't know, where are we? This is the big question. I don't know where I am. Performed focus, national intelligence was back here. The diplomatic, no. I'm lost. Oh no, this was only in 3. Okay, diplomatic was here. Draw crisis chit. What am I looking for? Media slant. I don't see it there. I have to look this up. Okay. I don't remember what it does. I think it's just a comparison of these guys. Kinda. When you draw it after performing whatever actions, check your media relations. Okay, so it's actually not that comparison. It's a 7 here, which gets me my public approval back that I lost for my gaffe. Oh, no, I didn't get a gaffe there. I don't remember where I may have just lost it here. And one more card. North Korea mobilizes, threatens to attack. Increase the conflict track by 1 box. They're at war. Place 2 tensions counters on both of them and 1 on China. And that looks like an R. So we'll go here. Tensions in China are getting really ugly. It feels a little weird to say threatens to attack when they're at war, but hey, whatever. That kind of stuff just happens. 1 random regional crisis with a stupid plus. Roll a d10 to determine the region. 3 is Central America. Once the region, move the regional crisis at the bottom 1 box. And increase the regional crisis level. Oh no, if it moves there, you look at a regional crisis. You know what? I don't know if I've ever hit the major crisis, but that I think does trigger something. It is jumping out. It gives me a table and everything. It's just, I don't remember that, but now seeing this, yes, I believe it does. But I think if I had moved into this, I would say, oh, wait, what? Okay. And that was a plus, so I get 1 more. And this is a 2+ cascading event here. There is only 1 cascading event. Place worsening econ counter on the Eurozone. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. +1 regional crisis in the Eurozone. The EU asks for help. You can opt to spend 3 action points to provide emergency economic aid funds, loan guarantees, oil, gas to the EU. If you do, roll a die, and you can get rid of this. Otherwise, the crisis will just move forward. I'm going to do it. It's a lot of action points, but, you know, I don't have any modifiers. I need a 1 through 7. I get that. Trending pro-US. That's going to be alignment. Which isn't at the top. And now the nice thing is I get to get rid of this. Is that a D? Should be. Put that in the pile. That got rid of those. We're all the way down here. Any 3 actions. Core support is, I think, going to be the public, the party relations situation. I got to think real hard about what I want to do. I got some ugly things. Africa needs to be cleaned up. And then I got a whole bunch of other shit to do. I succeeded in dropping the regional crisis in Africa. I took a Chinese influence down in Central South Asia. I don't know how vital that is, but I'm like, yeah, I don't like them getting up there at all. They jumped so far in one turn. I don't know what my third one was. You know what I was going to do is I was going to try something that I haven't done before. I'm going to try to put a trade agreement into the Eurozone. So I'm going to take, for 2 action points, I'm going to take a -2 or a -1 DRM. Oh, per action point. Oh, wait, maybe I don't need that many. This is going to be a regional alignment check. Regional alignment is 7. I'm getting one of those back. I'm going to make it a 9. Or, yeah, I could make it automatic. Let's make it automatic. Okay, well, we would have succeeded anyway. So now a trade agreement is pending. I have to find that. There it is. I figure they like me enough, and I can improve their economy, my economy. That's just good for me, is my hope. Now I have to go with Congress. And my relations with Congress is a 7. -1 brings it to an 8. I'm going to leave it at an 8. I don't know. Because I don't have to check twice if I do. And we get it passed. So now we have a trade agreement. I'm going to put that kind of, I don't know. Should be near the economy, but I don't know what to do with it. Place a trending pro-US on there. That jumps me all the way up. Anything else? Okay. And that used up my abilities. I did them all in the rest of the world. I feel like this is a good way for me to work on the economy. I probably should work on it harder than that, but whatever. And now the core check, I did look that up. This is a 0, so it's not going to move public opinion because I'm seen as a moderate enough president at this point. I know there's some people who are, you know, terrified. Like I've had somebody, seem to think that I would be like a horrible president. Truth of the matter is, I think, like with this game, the job puts you in a position where you're like, yeah, I mean, if you're not Trump, where you're like, I can't break all of this.
because the risk is too high. I can tinker around the edges, but even if you and this is very much informed by sort of the neocon view. This whole game, it really feels that way. But I feel like that's where the impetus is. So unless you're like willing to just destroy everything on the chance that your gut feelings are right, and I am never that certain. So I would easily be convinced by like the establishment that, and I think most presidents have been, that you can't do this. Like Obama stayed in Iraq and in Afghanistan throughout the whole time. Why? Because the risk of pulling out was just too great. It's too ugly, and the costs weren't that high at that point. Even though he went in on this no more stupid wars type of thing. Look, it's good to have somebody who's not going to get us into a war on faulty intelligence, because that's what they want to believe. But it's like, once something's busted, it's really hard. Or once something's set in place, not just busted, once something's set in place as the Band-Aid for problems, it's really hard to pull out of it. So you see me here. I look at what this game rewards. I go into Afghanistan early on, right? I want to clear that nasty rogue state out before I lose the game. That's important. Anyway. Would my real situation be that way? I don't know. I suspect that I would be too afraid of breaking things. Okay, so now we get either terror or chaos. That's going to be chaos. First thing, increase the conflict status for a random conflict. So I got to find a random conflict. 3. 3 is Russia, NATO. Now I roll a d10. Eight. Increase domestic crisis by 1 box. I don't like that. That's getting me close to domestic failure. And then roll a die. Congressional leaders dismayed by your agenda. Roll another d6 and either randomly remove one friend from Congress or draw a new opponent. This is not something I want. Okay, more opponents. It turned very bad. Not only a lot of capability, a decent amount of media savvy that cancels mine out, but also the congressional relationships are now more radical, which means this nice bipartisan situation I've gotten is no longer going to work. Yeah, I would have liked this. I have the protection from that. Oh, wait, we didn't get that. Then roll a d6. Yeah, that would have been a good one. This was not. Oh, well. Did we get an international chaos? What's up? No, that only happens on those die rolls. Okay. I'm glad for that. Okay. And now I always like avoiding these, but I think I'm going to do this. I do need to swap batteries, though. Attack Group C, Australia, Israel, India, and Rogues. Australia might be able to help North Korea. I don't know. And India might be able to help me against Afghanistan. Again, I don't know. For Australia, I did some intel on a terror group. I'm only allowed to do that once.
And then I tried to fix Africa. That didn't work. They get a unilateral. Let's see what that does. +1, +2, +3. A 9, joint U.S. sanctions. Replace any one unilateral with multilateral counter. If none, roll again. I don't think I have a unilateral that's on its own. This I don't know if that's cheating. I seem to think that I can put sanctions, I can have one of each type of sanctions counter. There can only be one type of each type, so you can have a unilateral, you can put a multilateral, yeah. One thing I forgot to mention when I did that as well, maybe forgot completely, was relations with the U.S. was already as bad as it could be. Putting a multilateral moves the box to the left, so it's not quite as bad as it could be. It could have a trending anti-U.S., but that doesn't happen because I moved a box, not including that. I think. I don't know. I'm not going to go look that up. But yeah, so I get to roll again. And again, I was at like +3. So that's an 8. Anti-terror, reduce one level 3, 2, or 1 terror group in Asia Pacific by 1 level. I can actually take one that I don't have any info on and drop that. And that's kind of cool. Then I deal with the tensions and we go to Israel. I did intel and then tried to improve the crisis in the Eurozone with humanitarian aid. That didn't work. And now we come over here, +1. Ooh. I think that cancels out. I think that is a status level. So that's zeros. Current status of Israel and Iran brings me to a +1. Okay. Israel does something nasty. They're not at war. +1 tensions on Iran and Israel. Increase Israel neighbors conflict track by 1. Now, well, that's not good. Usually these things do good things. Okay. I get a temporary... So, Iran essentially gets a conflict marker. I'm looking for them. They're here. Israel, though, gets sort of a temporary one. That's going to mean that they get to keep a tensions marker. And now we clean up, yeah. Now we clean up and get them the one they're actually going to have. And then we will go to India. India used their actions, probably in the wrong order when it comes down to it, to do an intel and move one of the terror groups up to here, then to do a raid on this thing, and I got a major success there, which boosted this. Had I done it in the other order, I would have had better choices. I could have moved the level 2 up there. Anyway, didn't work out perfectly for me, and now India's unilateral. There's tension count. There's a tension counter with no effect. I read that as there being a tension counter. There is a rogue state, so that's +1. India, China, pretty quiescent. And India, Pakistan, not so good. So I'm at +2. What does the black mean? Oh, there's two different colors. Orange. Okay. And at war. Okay. 9, border tension with China. Oh, we don't want this. Increase India-China conflict by 1 box. See, usually their own actions are not bad, but I got a couple of lousy ones in there. I've gotten used to like, oh, they do something good for me, and it's okay that there's this penalty on there because tensions are high or whatever. Now I got to clean up the India tensions. They're just going to go away. And we go to the rogue state. This is each rogue state on the map. There's only one. I'm at war with the fucker. He doesn't have a modifier. Doesn't have a -1 AP marker. What do we do? If a level, okay. If a level 1 or 2 is at war, do only A. If a level 3 or 4 is at war, do A and B. If it's not okay. Roll a d10, adding 1 if the rogue state has a -1 AP counter. They gain a point of strength. I wasn't counting on this. I didn't think this would happen. Okay. I didn't think they could improve. Also, if the current war type is air-ground and the rogue state is not winning, roll a d10. It is now a guerrilla war. I don't have a conflict type in there. There should have been one. But now it's become a guerrilla war. I don't know what that means. But that's going to be ugly, I think, comparatively. Like, that's going to be more of a big suck. Terror impact. Paste trending anti-US counter on the rogue state's regional alignment. We want the war to be over fast and be clean. And now it's getting ugly. And roll a die on the chart below. 5. Export terror. Put a level 1 terror in the US and Eurozone. That's fine. I mean, it's not, but whatever. Okay, now check unstable states. Roll a d10 for each in the Middle East and Africa. Regional stability is less than 5. That's a -1 or a +1. Six, export terror. No, 6. Keep it on the map. And in Africa, stability is not bad. It's at 6. So that's a -1. But we don't get to clear it out. Plus we have a couple of civil wars going on in Africa. It's not a good situation. We definitely need to focus there, but we need to focus everywhere. Now it's the UN. I should just be reporting back rather than eating up video here. Okay, I gotta look for this. So we only got the one advantage. Now we're going to the Civil War peace talks. And I can't spend APs on this. It ends up being the Eastern European Civil War, not one of the African ones. UN -1. Regional stability is not low. It is low enough. No, it's just less than. Okay. So I'm -1 on the ceasefire. I'm sorry, on the Civil War. Hey, I'm lucky. I get a ceasefire, decrease regional crisis by 1 box. Yeah. Place UN peacekeepers and such not. What this tensions is, I'm guessing it's supposed to be in Russia. It was just floating around in Eastern Europe. There's nothing that should have had a tensions marker in it. Now I go to my US actions. I can choose to perform up to 2. I can spend an action point and I can spend a goodwill counter. There was some reason I wanted to hang on to a bunch of goodwill counters. I don't remember what it was. Like having 3 of them allowed me to do something impressive. An AP and tried to put sanctions on North Korea. Those failed. I rolled the big 10. I don't think I want to spend goodwill. Because again, I think there was something that 3 goodwill allowed me to do something cool. But I don't recall what. Maybe I could look in here. Let me see. That's for the Peace Prize. I don't particularly want a Peace Prize, and I'm not in a position where the world's in a happy enough state for it. So, because I'm at war. Now this is the thing. Maybe there's some special rule for 2008 or whatever, but by the game's base rules, Obama shouldn't get a Peace Prize. By anybody's reasonable consideration, he should not have gotten one. The only thing he did was, well, he was first black president. Maybe that was a major consideration. But also, he really repudiated the warlike rhetoric, and actions of the previous administration, and didn't start anything new, but he didn't get us out of wars. So in this game, if you're in wars, and there were guerrilla wars going on, the U.S. was involved in at that point, you can't have a Peace Prize, All right. I think I want to use these. If I'm collecting them up, I might as well use them. I don't know why I was. I'm just not sure what I can't do sanctions again. I could do arms control. That sounds kind of good. Let's do that against North Korea. And we only get a -1 off that. And then another -1 for world opinion. So again, we're on a 7. This time we succeed. We drop North Korea's missile track. I get something. I think these tensions go away. I think that's what actually happens, but I don't recall, so I have to look at those tracks. And I gotta put yet another battery in, it looks like. New box that I removed from, again, this is the weird thing. And I lose attention off of each of these. Since I don't know what they are, that's okay. This goes away, but I need to reshuffle the UN goodwill. Fuck. I'll do it once I need them. I'll leave that face up. That'll remind me, because I'm not in a good place to do that right now. And no, media check? That doesn't feel right. I guess it is. Media relations and any public approval, benefit, or penalty. My media relations are great, but my public opinion is great too. So I'm kind of wasting that. I ought to be doing some foul things if I'm there. I want to do my domestic actions because I need to deal with this and prevent a domestic failure. Problem is, if I forget, if I walk away, I'm likely to forget to do that. So, yeah. Focused everything on that. We dropped this twice. We dropped that once. It was here. Pull another chip? Sure, why not? We're moving along at a pace here. NSA 2 cards. That can't be bad. I don't recall it. Draw the top 2 crisis cards from the deck, choose one, and remove it permanently from the game, reflecting NSA intercept. Place the other in the reshuffle. Okay, let's take a look. This is a lingering. China threatens Taiwan over independence talk. That sounds horrible. Somalian terrorists. Yeah, screw them. We're getting rid of China. And the China-Taiwan issue. I don't know. There may be more than one thing there. But that's a really cool thing to clear out. There's no question about that. That's going to put me down to war crisis. I think we're going to pause here because I got 2 batteries charging and much as I want to keep going, to be honest, which is kind of weird for me, let's give it a little rest. So we're progressing wars. We have a couple of them. U.S. has 12 strength points here and goes up to 14, not quite 3-1. Crap. I missed this though. The +4 for the attack subs. That does get me up to 3-1. But it's a guerrilla war, so no. So 12 strength points. This is weird. If playing on normal army units only provide 3 strength points each. Oh, in guerrilla, yeah, I guess. There are no UN regional troops here. Okay. So we don't get the subs. I'm trying to figure this out. So I think we're at 12. I don't know. 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, we're at 14. Okay. Now, and if I was playing normal, these would all be committed to this. They wouldn't be able to go in multiple regions, which actually makes sense to me, but I'm not too worried about that. +1 to regional crisis in the wars region. Also place a U.S. military footprint. Okay. And somewhere else, right? No, this is where I am. Total up the strength. And now we go to WCT1, which is in here. I'm sorry, that's WCT1. I need to get a bookmark. Okay, so this is going to be a guerrilla war. Do I have any modifiers? I don't see any. I'm lost. Determine any applicable DRMs in the ensuing war progress roll. Oh, here we go. Guerrilla war. Okay, +2. US FNI is in there. Yep, so that gets me down to +1. Special Ops and Intel are in there. That gets me down to 0. Fuck. A light and an Air Force in there. Yep, that gets me to -1. There's 1 Russian. That gets me to even. Okay. I get a 4. 1 left, both take a loss. Now, US losses are a problem. We're in guerrilla war, so we only go down to there. US losses are an issue. Normally, that's just public opinion. I'm not sure if I can take some of this strength. I don't remember what it's from. Let's see what we got here. God damn it. If US is not on the side, no. If the US is on the side, the game assumes US replaces losses at support at home. -2 public approval. Then make a relations with media and a relations with Congress. For each which fail, you add a -1. Those, I think, have no modifiers. They're just this. So media is a 7. The media likes me. And Congress likes me. So I don't lose anything there. I didn't have any asterisk, did I? I assume I would have noticed it if I did. We did not get an asterisk in there. Okay. If you made it all the way here, it means the war is not over. Another war progress will have to be made. If this is a US war, you can spend 2 AP to increase military spending for the war and promote public support. So I'll add to the strength. Ooh. This could improve my economy. If I don't, I get a penalty and all kind of nasty things. Okay, we'll support the war, I guess, because we're worried about our situation. And we check the state of the economy, right? Yeah. That is successful. So that goes up. We also got something else. Add 1 to the strength. I'm guessing this doesn't go away. I don't remember what it was from, but nothing's instructed me to get rid of it. And that's that. The war doesn't end yet. Okay, that's one war. Now we go to the other war, which is this one here, where the Republic of Korea is at 2-1. Now let me make sure that this is right. They're not in the war. This is a ground war, but it's not U.S. We get a regional crisis level. Total up strength of each side, yeah. We got a 2-to-1. We keep this here. We look for this. This is, okay, if a U.S. ally are supported in total of Russia-China combined influence. There is influence in there, so that's a +1. Make it a +2, because it's a Chinese base. The regional alignment is 6 to 7, so that drops it to a +1. No? No. All right, so we're at +1 on the 2-to-1 table. Ah, fuck. It's gotta be here. Not thrilled with this, but we get a reasonable result of 4. That's 1 to the left, and the defender takes another loss. This goes straight to here. It's not a guerrilla war. And let me just make sure there are no stars or anything. That means we make it down to here. The war is not over. Another war, if this is a U.S., it's not a U.S., so fine. Okay, now we deal with the civil wars. We've done this before, so I'm gonna take a look at each of these. And I'm able to spend APs on some of these, so I wanna think about that. Civil wars here, I am gonna spend an AP on the first one that I check. That gets me a net of -1. We get a 6, that's fighting continues. That means I'm safe, we're not gonna get a major crisis, so I'm not gonna spend on the second one. Oops, fighting intensifies, increase. So that's what I didn't want to have happen twice. I don't want to get to that major crisis. This is something I can fix. Those are my only civil wars, I think. Wait, what's this? This is me flipping counters, expecting the ceasefire to be on the other side. So we have one here with peacekeepers as well. Oops. I don't know where that guy came from, but he just, I don't know, he ended up on the floor somehow. So we do actually have another civil war, another purple counter. I got to be careful about that. Ceasefire, if there's a UN peacekeeper, that's a -2. Regional stability is okay. We'll just roll on that. I don't want to spend APs. And we get a permanent peace. The Civil War ceasefire ends, and actually things were already good here. That was the Balkan crisis over there. Diplomatic and military crises. What are the things I'm most worried about? I'm very worried about this. This is kind of cool. I like when it doesn't give me all 4 realms of action, right? Or whatever, yeah. 3 really, because I can almost always use the presidential stuff for something. This limits me to worry about the rest of the world, don't worry about my US situation, which makes me happy. Because then I can focus on one or the other. The flexible ones, they're more useful, but they're harder to cope with. I'm definitely very worried about here in Africa. I'm not so worried about the wars. I'm not thrilled about all these Chinese tensions.
That's not a good thing. That'll cancel, more than cancel out some of my situation with, I should put this over here. That'll more than cancel out some of my situation with the sanctions that I've put on them. But I have 4 actions. Any other areas that I'm really scared about? This isn't great. Okay. Very lucky with the regional crisis. I want to move something like my intelligence assets and whatnot into here, but see, I have to deal with this big terror group. That's scary, to be honest. But I don't know, maybe I can count on Israel and the Gulf states to handle those terrorists there. Let's see what I can do. I got a real bonus with that, and that makes me happy. I own a couple of intel operations on this, and I've only gotten one, and not my primary focus, any kind of success on it. I'm not thrilled about that at all. And I've eaten up all but one of my actions now, and I feel like, well, I should be doing something else. This isn't my only concern, but it's so hard. Like, because you focus and you identify, look, this is the worst thing I can deal with. But there are things that are only one-shots that, like removing influence, that I kind of like the idea of trying to do. Here's the Russian influence in the Middle East as my last action there. All right. That's going to put me on US SOE impact. I get 2 economic assistance. Don't really remember what that does, but luckily it tells me here. I can improve an allied relationship. I don't care about that. I can put trendings. I do care about that. Finish up by getting some public approval and an extra action point, which is very helpful. And that is going to push us up to activation phase 3. Before we do the Russia-China, I'm going to load this up because I don't know how far I've gone, but I know I've been chattier than I want it to be. So we're going to do this in 2 vids, but I'm hoping to get each turned down to just 1 vid each. I know. You know, as the gameplay increases, less and less people watch these. Which is really kind of a shame to me because it was always the gameplay part that was the important thing to me. The intro is me fucking giving an initial impression, kind of like an unboxing, and then reading the rules. That was added later. The review was added relatively early on, but was also not right away what I wanted to do. I wanted to do how do you play the game, you know, see the game in action. Because I think that's sort of the most important thing. Not to me necessarily, but I thought it was the most interesting thing, was watching the game being played. But we didn't, that's also not where people end up watching. So there we go. Anyway, I'm going to send this up.